Hi, Anna Jennings. It's Tappy. I'm going to read to you your favorite book, and then you can play this video on Mama or Daddy, well, probably Mama's phone, anytime you want to hear a book, okay? All right, The Cloud Spinner by Michael Catchpole. There was once a boy who could weave cloth from the clouds. He had a spinning wheel and a loom on top of a hill. As the clouds passed, with a whir of the wheel, he would spin them into thread, gold in the morning with the rising sun, white in the afternoon, and crimson in the evening, just as his mother had taught him. Look at all the clouds. That's where the little boy lives. And look, there he is, on top of the hill, on top of his house, spinning from the clouds. See the sheep and the cows? Then, with a clickety-clack of his loom, he would weave the thread into cloth. As he worked, he sang a simple tune his mother had taught him. Enough is enough, and not one stitch more. See the little boy making the cloth on his loom? The boy was wise. He spun just enough thread and wove just enough cloth to make 2 scarves. One of pure white he wore over his head when it was hot to protect him from the sun. Look, looks like a little kerchief, doesn't it? It looks just like the clouds. The other he wore when it was cold. It was a twist and twirl of gold and white and crimson, soft as a mouse's touch and warm as roasted chestnuts. His mother had taught him well. Your mama teaches you things well too, doesn't she? She's a good teacher. I think you've been enjoying your homeschooling with her lately. Look. The little boy is going down to the market. One chilly market day, the boy walked down the hill, a basket in his hand and his scarf around his neck. The market was full of great excitement. The king was on his way. Isn't it funny how we usually think of kings as being good men? But this king wasn't, was he? You remember? Look, there he is. He looks kind of big, doesn't he? Soon the king rode grandly by, hardly noticing the curtsies and cheers. But what his greedy eyes did notice was the wonderful scarf of gold and white and crimson. Oh, that was a greedy king. He wasn't a good king. Let's see. Tell me, boy, where can I get a scarf of such fine cloth? Nowhere on earth, the boy replied. Then how did you get yours? Snapped the king. I made it, said the boy. Then you will make another for me. Look at the king. At the little boy with the soldiers. A larger one, much longer, for I am the king. But the boy said, it would not be wise to have a long scarf made from this cloth. Your Majesty does not need it. How dare you tell me what is wise, shouted the king. I order you to make me my scarf. Wow, that king isn't very kind, is he? So the boy went home to the top of the hill, and with a whir of the wheel began to spin. Look at the clouds. He spun the clouds as they passed in the morning and were gold with the rising sun. And he spun in the afternoons as the clouds sailed past, white as snowdrifts. See the bird? And he spun in the evening when the clouds were crimson. Crimson is like a pinky red color. Then, with a clickety-clack of the loom, he wove the thread into a long, long scarf. Some of those clouds have animal shapes, don't they? The king was overjoyed. His scarf was soft as a mouse's touch and warm as roasted chestnuts. "Now make me a cloak of this glorious cloth," he ordered, "and dresses galore for the queen and my daughter, the princess." Oh, that king. He is not a good person. But the boy shook his head. "It would not be wise to have so many cloths made from this cloth. Your Majesty does not need them." Ooh, he's got an angry face. The king's face was a twist of scowls. "I want those clothes, and I order you to make them." So the boy went home to the top of the hill, and with a whir of the wheel began to spin. He spun the clouds as they passed in the morning and were gold with the rising sun. He spun in the afternoon as the clouds sailed past, white as snowdrifts. Look at that. And he spun in the evening when the clouds were crimson. Oh, that looks like a horse cloud. And he spun and he spun, and it got harder and harder, for soon there were fewer and fewer clouds. Not many clouds left in the sky. At last, with a clickety-clack of the loom, the boy began to weave the thread into cloth beneath a cloudless sky. And as he worked, he sadly sang, "Enough is enough, and not one stitch more." Oh my goodness, look at that hot sun. Do you see any clouds in the sky to shade people or to make rain? I don't see any. Just the big, hot sun. The king was delighted. He put on the wonderful cloak, and the queen and the princess each put on a beautiful flowing dress. "Surely," he boasted, "there is no other king as magnificent and wise as me." "Not one," said the queen. The princess said nothing. There's the little boy, and there's the princess. She looks kind of sad. I think she knows that her dad has done a bad thing. But look at the king and queen. They look so pleased with themselves. They think they look very fine in their beautiful spun clothes. They don't care about the clouds. Oh my goodness, what's happening now? Oh, some farmers have come to visit the king. But day after day, as they wore their marvelous clothes, not one drop of rain fell from the cloudless sky. "Your Majesty," pleaded the villagers, "our animals are thirsty and our crops are all dying." "There's nothing I can do," shouted the king, walking this way and that, his cloak trailing behind him. "Why are you moaning to me?" The princess said nothing. See her? But that evening she quietly slipped out of the palace. She wore a simple dress, and in her arms was a bundle, soft as a mouse's touch and warm as roasted chestnuts. She crossed the dry, dusty gardens and the brown fields beyond and climbed to the top of the hill. There she goes. Look. Look, she's got a big, huge bundle. I don't even know how she can carry it. It's so big. And she's taking it up to the boy's house. Stepping forward, she knocked at the boy's door. "Is it too late to undo what has been done?" Look. The boy smiled and said simply, "There is still time." Look, what is he doing? He's unweaving all the cloth, isn't he? And he's sending it back up into the sky. When the king awoke the next morning, he could not find his wonderful cloak. The queen could not find her beautiful dresses. They searched the palace for the clothes that the boy had made, but they were gone. Look, the king is looking out his window, and what does he see? Anna Jennings. It's clouds and rain, thank goodness. And there's the queen. She's looking out the window too. While outside, the villagers danced for joy as the rain began to fall from the clouds in the sky. It rained and rained and rained. The king and queen looked out and wondered. Do you see all the villagers dancing for joy? They are so happy the clouds have come back and that it's raining. And the princess, with a smile as bright as a rainbow, stood on top of the hill and sang, "Enough is enough, and not one stitch more." You see the beautiful rainbow, Anna Jennings? Isn't that pretty? Yeah. And look. There's a smiley face cloud. The clouds are happy. They're back in the sky where they belong. And look, I think that little boy and that little girl became very, very good friends. The end.